JP poll, week 6. These are not rankings. These are power ratings. And if you want to know what that means, go watch the whole show and rewind to right before this point in the show. I need to tell you, before we get into the top 25, I am so proud of Neil Brown. West Virginia is in the top 30. They're not quite in the top 25, but this was a dude who everyone was convinced would lose his job this year, and instead they're undefeated in conference play. They're 3-1 in their bye week. They are in the top 30 of the JP poll, which I never thought I'd say this year, and their only loss is to Penn State. So if they just scheduled a cream puff week 1, maybe they'd be 4-0. But nevertheless, hot seat talk completely cooled on Neil Brown. Good for him. Good for West Virginia. I wanted to mention that because we couldn't get it in the show the other night. Okay, now 25-1. Let's dive into it. I have some bones to pick with the way the model has power rated these teams. Remember, if you're pissed, it's not on me. It's on the model. I just want the credit. I'm not interested in the blame. Start at 25. And Louisville is at 25. First time we've had Louisville in the power ratings all year. They play Notre Dame this coming Saturday. Very much looking forward to that one. Third straight high-emotion leverage spot for Notre Dame in as many weeks. Louisville on long rest by 24 hours. Kansas State's back in the top 25. They've kind of been fluctuating there all year in the 20 to 30 range. UCLA, they got Washington State this week. They're at number 23. Utah dropped 7 spots. They're at number 22. I don't trust the model on Utah. I'm just telling you. The model has no grasp on Utah. It is anti-Ute, and I can't explain why. Probably a virus. I can't explain why. LSU is still 21. People are going to have problems with this. This is not a ranking. That's how I explain it. LSU would still be favored over a lot of these teams. And you may say, well, that doesn't mean anything. They were favored against Ole Miss. I know. Well, what do you mean you know? They lost against Ole Miss. I know. I picked Ole Miss. Well, how can you have them at number 21? I'm telling you they'd still be favored. Doesn't mean they'd win the games. They'd just be favored. That's all we care about. If you want something else, go look at the AP poll. Top 20. Let's go. LSU at number 21. Kentucky is at number 20. And they play Georgia this Saturday. Now, let me warn you. If they go into Athens as a 14.5-point dog and they lose by 16, Kentucky is not going to fall. We're not punishing them for doing exactly what the model, and in this case, Vegas, says they should do. North Carolina is at 19. Miami is at 18, virtually unchanged. That's where pretty much those teams were last week. Ole Miss hiked up 7 spots here, and Oregon State is at 16. And these are some really good teams because there's not a lot of gap right now, point-wise, in the 10 to 20 range. Let's take a look at the top 15. Tennessee down 2 spots. I'm not going to tell you Brew McCoy has a massive value as a player, but Brew McCoy, in our eyes, is about a 3/4 a point per game player. I don't even want to try and explain how that point assignation works to people unfamiliar. Most odds makers would not tell you he's worth that. I disagree. In fact, I've disagreed for a long time with what higher level wide receivers are worth in terms of point total per game. Anyway, that's boring. It did impact Tennessee. They beat South Carolina handily. They lost a big-time player, so they fell slightly. They're number 15. Clemson's at 14 as a 2-loss team. Advanced metrics guys out there all over the place still like Clemson, and we kind of do too. We got them at 14. We got Notre Dame at 13 and Texas A&M at 12. Now, A&M's not ranked in the AP right now, which is, it's whatever. I am confidently telling you Texas A&M would be favored over several teams in the AP top 25. So whether they deserve to be there or not, I don't care because this is not the AP. In odds-making world, A&M's at 12, USC is at number 11. Now we get to the top 10. We got Florida State 10. Now, if you follow polls, Florida State looks low, right? If you follow some of the advanced metrics folks, we've actually got Florida State higher than they do. In fact, what if I told you a lot of them still have Clemson ahead of Florida State, and Clemson's got 2 losses, and one of them is to Florida State in their own building? Now, what kind of pretzel does that tie your mind in? It's a funny world out here, kids. Oklahoma is at 9, And I can assure you Texas is going to be up here somewhere. So we got a top 10 matchup in the Cotton Bowl out there in the Red River Shootout Saturday. Penn State is at number 8, just like they were last week. Washington, they didn't really fall. I mean, falling 2 spots means like falling a tenth of a point. So Washington's at 7. Bama is at 6. They've pretty much been there for the last couple of weeks. Top 5 time. Georgia is down to 5. Georgia was our number 1. And it's still the AP number 1, I think. We got 4 teams we'd pick over Georgia on a neutral field right now, and Oregon's one of them. Now, that's a little difficult to swallow, Immunity, when you think about the fact that Oregon faced Georgia on a neutral field just over 12 months ago, didn't they? And they're still cleaning duck blood off the wall of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So the model is sitting here not caring about that at all, telling you, who cares? 12 months later, Oregon, favored on a neutral field. Oh, okay, model. That's nice. Maybe we'll see that matchup down the road. I'm really high on Oregon now. Don't get me wrong. Michigan has vaulted. So I don't know what the model all of a sudden saw in Michigan now that they beat Nebraska. But Michigan's up there now with where most of America has them. So maybe the model course corrected on Michigan, but we got them number 3 now. But we still got Ohio State ahead of Michigan. And that game's going to be played at the end of the year, and it's going to be in Ann Arbor, so I don't really care what people think would happen on a field today or tomorrow. We're very high on Ohio State. But Ohio State was number 1 last week, and they're not this week. Texas has taken over the number 1 spot in the JP poll for the first time since I've done the JP poll, not just this year. And here we are. As far as I'm concerned, Texas is back as of October 3rd, 2023. Some of you were waiting for them to win the Big 12. Some of you were waiting to make the playoff or to win the national championship. Nope. From my lips, speaking it into existence, as soon as Texas becomes number 1 in the JP poll, that's when they're back. Texas is number 1, they're back. If you guys lose Saturday and you embarrass me, I will never forgive you. This model bought into Texas blindly all year last year, and I was mocked. I was ridiculed. And now here we are again. Not much has changed, except it has, because I think the quality of team Texas and Steve Sarkisian are putting on the field has changed. So I'm going to go out there Saturday, and I'm going to stand right there on the sideline. I may even go over to the Oklahoma sideline so it doesn't look like favoritism, because it's not, although I would like to be right. But Texas won Ohio State too. Welcome to 2005? Welcome to 2005. It just feels like mid-2000s-y. It's beautiful. Ohio State was 2002, I think, when they won that title. Then we had Texas USC in 2005. And Ohio State was a mainstay. There were a player there in the 2000s. Texas was too. A lot of these brands that I was told, Florida State among them, a lot of these brands I was told were just going to disappear. And college football had passed them by, whatever in the world that means. They're right here again. It's a good year to be a college football fan. But then again, every year is a good year to be a college football fan.